and welcome to the podcast. My name is Tracy, and here's my co-host Tanya.
Hi.
And today we want to welcome you back. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us. I hope you look forward to this episode because today we are talking about something a bit deeper than usual and very close to our hearts. And it is redefining culture, confidence, and belonging. But before we go into that, which is very deep, Tan, tell us, how are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling all cozy in my warm jumper. And yeah, I've got nothing new. However, I actually would have just come back from Barbados. So this is pre-recording that, even though it's released after. Next time you see me, I'll have a tan.
Tan with a tan.
With a tan. And maybe be a bit more cultured in another country. Yeah.
Sounds really good.
How about you? How are you?
I'm good, thank you. This is obviously the new year now, and it's, we are, I don't know, Tan.
Same old,
Same old, yeah.
And that's okay.
It is, yeah, because not every time we ask each other things, there's going to be something interesting to talk about.
No, that just would, I think that's if we ever made it.
Yeah.
Because then we would be doing cool stuff. But at the moment, we're not. So, as we're not, and we're just doing everyday life, should we get into it?
I think so.
Okay. So, as Trace mentioned, this is quite a deep and personal subject to us both. And it's probably going to open up stories that some of our friends and family won't know about us as well. But the reason we're really sharing it is we want to create such a safe space for people. And when we eventually have our deli, what we would like is to be able to have these kinds of chats with customers and, put on events that might be relatable to this. And yeah, it's all part of the community we're trying to build. So, Trace, do you have a story that you would like to share with our listeners about feeling like a story or experience about feeling like you didn't fit in when you were growing up or in your journey today?
Yeah, so growing up, I never really did feel like I fit in anywhere. In so many different aspects of life. So at school, I was like the only other, there was like 3 brown kids there. The rest were, white, Irish, English. And it didn't, race didn't stick out to me too much at that age because everyone sort of, you're children, then you sort of accept everyone for who they are. But I think as I got older, I never felt comfortable really because there was always low-level racism going on in my life, and it was very subtle. It wasn't overt, but it gets to you in the end. It chips away. And I would have comments, remarks, looks, which I knew was different to other people. I would see that. So yeah, I felt that I wasn't really fitting in because I wasn't being treated like everyone else. But that's not to say I had a bad life or a bad upbringing. I'm just saying that it made me feel that way. Mm-hmm. Even in my own family, I was never the thinnest, the fairest. I've got hairy arms and legs. Everyone else had like smooth skin, and there was me, and I didn't even fit into that. Mm. So it was like, where do I fit in? And also, I've got like some kind of niche interests, my Lord of the Rings obsession and music and stuff like that. And it's not what the majority of people go for. So I've always sort of felt that way. But as I'm getting older, I care less, basically. Yeah, I've got the confidence to care less about it.
Do you feel you fit in, like, in the day and age today?
Yeah, I think so. I'm an 80s baby, grew up in the 90s, and there was less open-mindedness and possibly tolerance and acceptance. I think now there's more acceptance for differences in people and their uniqueness. And that's made it easier for me these days, definitely. However, the whole not feeling to fit in still resides there because it started as a child. And the other big thing to add to that is, I don't know whether our listeners know this about us, but I'm from India, Goa to be exact. So, and I was brought up here. My parents were immigrants. They came, they worked hard, brought me up here. Um, and so I'm British, but I don't consider myself English. Mm-hmm. And I can't really connect to the Indian side of life because I've been so distanced from it. So there again, there's another place I don't really fit in, as it were. Yeah. How about yourself, Tan?
Yeah, I think it's pretty similar. I think for me, I really felt I didn't fit in because of like being Sri Lankan and yet being brought up here. My parents brought me up very westernized. So it was very similar. I had very British traditions. And then I would go to Sri Lanka and I didn't really feel like I fitted in there, even though there's family there. There's all these different cultures. The food's different. And even though my mum actually did cook like Sri Lankan food in the evening, it was like trying to feel connected to it. I didn't feel connected to it. So when you go there, I'm like, I don't want to eat this food. Whereas an adult, that's a lot different, right? Also as a child, I think for me, it was like I guess with my parents being immigrant parents, I was born here. And my brother wasn't, but he was brought here at a young age. But I felt my parents were really strict. So I felt I didn't fit in school because all my friends were allowed to go out. They were allowed to go to parties. And my mum and dad, were so scared to let me out, thinking something would happen. And you look at the world now, there's 10 times worse of things that happen now than back then. And I felt really left out. And it then posed questions. I remember being asked in school if I was going to have an arranged marriage because they thought my parents were strict. And I was like, yeah, they're strict in letting me go out, but they're not strict with anything else, right? At that age, until I was 18, they were strict. But as soon as 18 hit, a lot of things actually did lessen. But yeah, I just never felt connected with my family or my culture. In this day and age where I feel I don't fit in is people will go, oh, you're from Sri Lanka, you must love going there and the culture, and tell me about your culture, tell me about traditions. And I'm like, I don't actually know any, but I also don't know really the British traditions, oddly enough, right? Because yes, we do Christmas and everything. That actually comes down to the fact that I was raised Catholic. So I was same to you, was one of the few brown kids in school, but I actually never felt left out in anything. I felt really absorbed by my group. The only thing I felt was that I felt left out where I didn't get to go out. I didn't have a boyfriend till I was 18 and everyone else was dating or had their first kiss a lot younger. And I'm like, I don't know anything. But for me, it's even more now. It's like when, you go to a new place and they find out your heritage and they're like, oh, the food must be great. Yeah, I don't know much about it. I'm learning. It's like whenever I go there now, I have to force my family to take me to these places. But they're like, oh, we did this when you were a child. I was like, but as a child, I didn't appreciate it. I didn't appreciate the Buddhist temples because I was like, well, it's like going to church when you're a child. Like, oh, let's go to church. But actually learning now as an adult, it's the history, it's the beauty of those places. Yeah. These places are built in caves with this artwork that I appreciate now, and the different parts of the areas. And actually I found out a lot of the places I've been to, my parents have never been to, and they were born there. So yeah, it's a really odd place to be in when you don't feel you fit in. Can I ask, obviously then you married someone with a different culture, even though it is an Asian background, and the boys are a bit of both. What have you brought into them so they feel they fit in both as well as the UK?
Because I'm, I guess, a first generation here, with my mum and dad from India. And then my husband, he's come straight from Sri Lanka. So my boys are a bit of a mix of first and second generation. And I love being British and I love this country. And I try and get them to take part in, be part of the community in this country, be involved, know the traditions, the history, and things like that. But at the same time, I teach them the little I know about my own background, because like you, it's not very much. I hardly cook my own food from Goa. I don't know how to. My mum tries to give me the recipe. She's like, bit of onion, bit of this, bit of that. But and then I'm like, Mum, it doesn't turn out the same as yours, you know. And the little that I know, I'm trying to pass on to them. And I think it's what I've learned from one of my aunties, my dad's sister, a very special person to me, who sadly passed away recently. She kept the tradition, the oral tradition of passing down family history. So she would tell me stories from her youth, stories from Goa, the different places in India she traveled to. She lived in Africa at some time, and she had photo albums. And when I was a kid, she would go through that with me. And when I was young, I'd be like, oh God, not again, you know, she's telling me the same thing. But actually, now I appreciate that so much, and I value that she did that. And that's what I want to try and do with my family, is continue that oral history. That's something that gets lost, I think, really easily in this day and age. And educate them to where their family came from, what are our traditions, what's our history. You know, my auntie made a family tree that goes back generations, so I show them that. And you know, at the same time that I'm teaching them, I'm actually teaching myself some things too. So I looked into the history of Goa, the colonization from by the Portuguese and the English, the things that the Goan people went through, how they overcame, survived, and prospered afterwards. Really good lessons to learn, I think, as well. So yeah, that's what I do for the boys. How about yourself? What do you do now to get in touch with your heritage and that side of things, or feel that you can try and fit in?
I think this has been a big step. I think because whenever we talked about the deli, we always said we wanted to bring our food in. And I think that's because food is such a big thing in both our lives.
Yeah.
And I'm learning to appreciate the Sri Lankan like cuisine so much more, like the tea, not even just the food, it's the teas, it's the spices, it's the herbs, there's so much there that can be used in so many different ways. And that's what I want to bring. And that's how I feel I'm connecting with it. Because as a child, I hated the food. I absolutely hated it. You know, it's like, you know, when your mum says you have to eat your vegetables, you know, it was a little bit like that. Whereas now I appreciate the food, and I actually don't cook it. And like my mum doesn't cook it anymore because we actually eat a very English cuisine. It's very healthy. It's something in the air fryer. It's boiled full steamed veg, and you know, it's trying to keep that healthiness, right? I'm actually like, Christmas time is the time when we actually get to enjoy the nice Sri Lankan food, because that's when she puts the foot in. And we get all the lovely curries and the you know, the short eats as they call it. So yeah, I'm just trying to connect with that. And like, also it's going there and seeing the different places. Like, it's hard to get stories from my family. I don't know what's wrong with my family. They just don't talk about it. They are more about, you know, being able to have left the country and achieved something somewhere else. I kind of understand that, because I guess that is a big achievement, right? To move from another country, set up home, raise your kids and settle down, and then be on a good path. But yeah, I don't know much about it. I don't know much about my family history. So I'm hoping this takes me on that journey a little bit more.
And I think we connected when we were talking about starting a business together. We realized that we've been through a lot of the same experiences. And when we wanted to make a business, we wanted to make it really meaningful and not just any old money making thing. Because we could do that, right? We could sell some crappy tacky stuff on Amazon and make lots of money from that. But we didn't want to. We wanted to do something quite personal and of value to not just ourselves but others. And because we have so many similar experiences in terms of not feeling or fitting in, because we're not English, we're not South Asia, like you're not from, you know, you don't feel Sri Lankan, I don't feel Indian. We're that in between. And growing up, you have those experiences, those shared experiences we've had. And I know a lot of my best friends are similar situation of that shared experience. I think that it was so important to us that we brought it into the business. We love food. Obviously, we're foodies, and that food, culture, heritage all kind of melts together in one nice little mixing pot. So I'm also hoping to learn a lot about my own culture, get to know the food better, be able to cook it as well, and teach the boys. I would like to pass that down.
Yeah.
My auntie, she taught me how to make chapatis, and she'd make me stand and watch and help her when I was really young. But now I teach my boys how to do that, and it's something I'd like to pass on and keep doing that.
Yeah. And I think like what you've talked about, it's like we feel very disconnected from that, right? You hear, like growing up, I obviously grew up in very Catholic schools, so my friends are, white, Irish, Scottish, all that mix. I didn't actually have a lot of Asian friends until I started working, and even then I felt very disconnected as an adult. And now it's a little bit of a jealousy when I do Diwali and all those lovely things, right? And they're wearing these beautiful outfits and they're doing all these family things, and they're like, "Oh, what do you do for like the Sri Lankan New Year?" I was like, "Nothing. I don't even know when it is." And if I say that, people are like, "What's wrong with you? Like, why would you not know?" Like, well, my mum and dad never taught me that. They didn't. Like, when I have asked my mum to why, she was like, "I just didn't want you to get confused. You're in England, like, your friends are this, like, we celebrate Christmas." We grew up Catholic, we had Easter, those things were big, Easter, like getting your Easter eggs and going to church and all of that kind of stuff was big. And that was part of my school life, like Holy Communion, all of that. Those things were the big events in my life that I remember, but they weren't cultural events. There's nothing cultural like about it. Even to wear those outfits, I have no idea how to wear them. And I went to a friend's wedding this year. Okay, bear in mind she had an Indian wedding. Obviously, everyone there then thinks that I'm Indian, even though I've like got two non-Indian people with me, and I felt really out of place because I guess people thought, "Oh, you would know what the outfits, or you would know this." And I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I made her drag us around the shops so I could like pick something because I don't know those things, and in some ways, our cultures do mix on certain stuff like the outfits and things like that. But I mean, do you know much about even those things?
No. I remember, you reminded me of a time when I started to go to uni, and there was a few Indian girls there, like proper Indian. So when I say proper, Goa, it doesn't really, it's a state of India. It was colonized by the Portuguese for hundreds of years and then by the British. It's very Europeanized, hence my name, Tracy, which people hardly believe or they are aghast. I can tell you so many stories about my name and how that's made other people feel about me. So there's lots of things that have gone on in my life. But anyways, back to uni. These girls are from India. I'm from Goa, so it's very different upbringing. They celebrate Hindu festivals. They have a lot of their community together around, all their aunties, uncles. And for me, it was just me, my mum, dad, and my auntie in this country. We had we have some distant relatives, but they live far away in London, different parts of London. So we never got to see them. I was quite isolated in that way. Anyways, I thought, my primary school, I had a lot of wonderful white Irish friends, amazing. Now I'm going to mix up with my own, skin color, as it were, because I never had a lot of brown friends. Not, and I wasn't sad about it, but I was excited to then meet some people like this who looked like me. And then we used to hang out, and we'd go to South Hall and places like that, and they start talking in their own language. And I'm like, okay. Oh, I'm like trying to join in, try to be cool, play it cool. Like, yeah, I can be one of you. And then they would ask me questions about these Bollywood songs, and I knew a few, but not enough. And I felt that I just didn't fit in with them.
Yeah.
I'm not English, I'm not Indian, what am I, you know? And it made me feel a little bit sad because I just wanted to be part of a group that I fit into.
Yeah, I felt that as well. I think the older you get is the more you feel it. I think when you're like in school, you've got your own group of friends, you don't really care. And I only cared about my group of friends. I didn't really care about the fact that, you know, I didn't have any brown skin friends. It was weird because my parents always went to like these Sri Lankan dances. Oof. But I never had friends there, and I used to hate it. I had probably one family friend, but I always felt really like left out because she was, you know, she was Buddhist. So they all went to Sunday school together, and then there's me. Like, I didn't fit in. I didn't go to Sunday school where, you know, you learn about the Buddhist side, because that's like what our listeners won't know is like my mum's side of the family is Buddhist, which is your husband's side, and my dad's side is Catholic. But my mum chose to become Catholic when she married my dad, so got baptized on the wedding day, and then they raised us as Catholics. So it's actually half of me. That Buddhism is half of me. It's half of my generation, but I don't know it. I don't understand any of it. So yeah, I actually felt when I hung out with other brown skinned people and throughout my working career, because always felt really left out. I have had that experience where they speak in their own language and I'm stood there like, well, I don't know what you're saying. And I just felt really left out. And it actually put me off hanging out with them because I was like, well, you're leaving me out. And it's a little bit, it's mean because you don't know that I don't understand. But yeah.
You know, I must say that growing up, I didn't face any huge issues with racism, luckily. I know some people have, and I feel very lucky to have not gone through some of the crap that other people might have gone through.
Yeah.
And I must say as well that I've got such a good set of friends who it doesn't actually matter where they come from, but, you know, colour doesn't really matter at all. And they've been through everything with me through thick and thin since I was like 5 years old, one of them, and the others like since I was in secondary school. And it's people like that who help you to fit in and you find your own little group. And then that heritage race, all that goes out the window because you just be yourself, right? And that's all you want. And what I've learned is from that growing older now, is that I don't feel that need to fit in anymore because I feel comfortable in my own skin, as it were. And I've got these really good friends. I've got you, I've got my kids, my husband, the dog. You know, there's so much love in my life that I don't feel that need to fit in anymore. So I hope that whoever's going through this knows that you're not always gonna feel that way.
Yeah.
You know?
I think for me, I feel maybe the need is a little bit more for me. And maybe that's because I haven't got my person yet. And I mean, I have dated white guys and I've dated brown guys. I actually felt more uncomfortable with brown guys, weirdly. But I think that's because their parents would assume that I would be that like traditional Asian girl, and there's me. I'm like, hi. Nothing traditional about me. Parents love me. Like my ex's parents love me, even though I was not traditional at all. But because I've been raised well, I've been brought up well. But I do have that fear of like, you know, when I date someone or if I marry them, how is it going to be? Am I going to feel like I fit in? But like you, I am very lucky. I have really good friends that I've actually never felt the racism. I've never felt that I didn't fit in with them. It was never about colour. It was never about where I was from. I think more of the need of wanting to fit in is, I think just feel it more because I'm more alone. I do have a lot of love with you and your family and my family and my friends and stuff. But I think until I'm a little bit maybe more settled and I have my own kids, it might feel a bit more settling. But I think for me, probably because I'm on this journey of travel as well. So I think I'm learning different cultures, and you go to other countries and you see those cultures and you want to be part of that because you don't fit in anywhere. Yeah. You see these lovely traditions in other countries. You're like, oh, I want to do that, or I want to add it. So I've kind of learned, I think, that I am taking away things from those cultures and I'm making it my own culture. And I don't have to be one or the other, you know?
Yeah, I think that's really empowering, isn't it? When you can take control and make those decisions and not feel you have to fit in, but you can make your own thing and just be yourself.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Definitely.
Wow.
That was very deep.
That was really deep. And I think we could have gone on a lot longer because there's so much experiences we had, right? But I think we've covered everything we want to say.
Yeah. Yeah, for now. We never know. These things might come up later. But I think the main thing we want everyone to take away from why we're talking about this is why we're doing the business. It means more to us than making money. We don't want it to just be like a South Asian deli and it just be aimed at that audience. This is for everyone. Come and learn our culture along with us. Come on the journey. Come to the shop when we eventually get one. Hopefully. We will get one. And when we do, that's what we want. We want people to come and experience the things like we're experiencing it, because we're experiencing it now as well. So that's why we wanted to share it. So it gives that bit of that personal touch to our little shop that we're going to have one day.
Yeah. Nicely said, Tan.
Thanks. On to the game?
I think so.
Well, you explain the rules.
Okay. So this is the cultural confidence quiz. What do? We have to ask a question.
Can you talk?
No.
Do you want me to?
I think I've got your lurgy.
I'm telling you, it's the seat.
Okay. I ask a question with 3 possible answers, and you have to guess which answer the person would choose. After guessing, the person answers and shares the reasoning behind it.
That was like a little...
Didn't make any sense.
Right, okay, I will explain the rules. Bloody hell. So basically, we ask each other a question. So when I ask you a question, I have to guess what your answer will be.
Okay.
Because it wasn't that hard. After I've guessed, you've got to tell me which answer you would actually have chosen, if I got it right or if I got it wrong, and the reason why you would have chosen that answer.
A good game.
I know, I chose the game. Better than the last episode's game. But anyway. Right, so you're asking the first question and you've got to guess this about me.
Okay. Right. Question number 1. When you walk into a room full of strangers, what's your first move? Is it A, scan for the snacks and see if they're worth making the small talk for? B, pretend you're on a secret mission and observe everyone without speaking? C, immediately claim the biggest chair to show you on your what?
So you own the place.
Okay.
Can you read?
Let's say that again. Immediately claim the biggest chair to show you own the place.
Okay. So which answer do you think I will go for?
I think it's scan for the snacks and see if they're worth making small talk.
Should I tell you if you're correct?
Yeah.
You are correct. 100%. If there's no good food, I ain't sitting in that room. Especially if I don't know anyone. I'll make my excuses, go to the loo and then I'll sneak out.
Say it like it is, Tan.
Right. Ready. So question number 2. Your friend asks you to try a new food from their culture. What's your reaction? Is it A, say yes with enthusiasm, but secretly Google what you're about to eat? B, smile and nod while your inner voice is screaming, no, not that? C, ask if it pairs well with pizza just to be safe.
Okay.
So I think you would say A.
You're right. However, I would say A, but I wouldn't Google it.
Yeah, I don't think you would Google it either.
No.
I think you would say yes with enthusiasm.
I love food. I love food.
I'm trying to say it one more time for the people in the back.
Wait, let me say this. I love food, no matter where it comes from, and I'm always excited to eat something that I haven't tasted before to excite my taste buds.
Was that even worth it? Like, I was like, say food for one more time. Anyway, go on. Your question.
Question number 3. You hear someone making a stereotype about your culture. What do you do? A. Laugh loudly, then drop a truth bomb that blows their mind. B. Change the topic and tell them about the latest British scandal you've heard. Or C. Start talking about how your grandma is way cooler than their grandma. Okay. I think it could possibly be C, because as a joke, you might say that to friends. But on a serious note, I think you would drop a truth bomb and say, actually, something, this is my culture and you shouldn't be laughing at it, and tell them something true.
You're incorrect on both times. I'd actually do B. I don't really like going, if it's like people that I don't know, I wouldn't go in and say something. I don't think I know enough about my culture to turn around and correct them.
Okay.
I don't think the grandma thing is my thing. However, I would change the topic because I'm most likely to know a British scandal.
Do you know what? I would have answered the same.
I know my British scandals. I'm too much in the gossip. And I worked in a newsroom, so I feel like I know the places to find it if I wanted to as well. Okay, ready for your question. So next question, number 4. If you were to explain your culture in one sentence to someone who knows nothing about it, what would you say? Is it A, it's a lot like that weird movie you've never seen, but with better food? B, imagine if a party, a nap, and a big family dinner had a baby? Or C, it's a mix of crazy traditions and good food with a dash of awkwardness? So I think you would say C, the crazy traditions, good food, and a dash of awkwardness.
You know what? Out of those crazy answers, it would be C. You're right. I don't know about crazy traditions. They're very traditional in a boring sense. There's definitely good food in Goa. And the awkwardness, geez, like I've been to some of these Goa New Year's parties in this country, and
horrible, right?
Yeah, the dancing. They go full on ballroom dancing.
Do they?
Tango and waltzes.
No, it's not like that in Sri Lanka.
No, because you've got, I know, I've been to many Sri Lankan functions and I've seen the dancing.
They're crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. But anyway. Okay.
Your question. You are invited to a party with a totally different cultural vibe. What's your first thought? A, do I need to learn a dance move for this? B, I hope there's food or I'm leaving early. C, are they going to judge me for my awkward attempts at fitting in? I think there's elements of all of them you might choose, but the main one is I hope there's food or I'm leaving early.
Anyone. I'm not learning a dance move and I'm not like going to be awkwardly trying to fit in.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I'm just about the food.
Yeah.
Is the food good? Is there food? If there's no food, as me and my friends call it, an Irish goodbye. You just don't say goodbye, you just leave. Yeah, that's what we do. We do an Irish goodbye.
That's a new thing I didn't know about.
Love it. A good Irish goodbye. Okay. Next question. When someone asks you, when someone asks where you're really from, what's your usual response? I hate that question. A, I'm from the land of good food and better stories. B, I'm an international mystery, haven't you heard? Or C, I'm from the land of I don't quite fit in, but I'm still fabulous. I feel like you would say B, because I feel like you would like to be an international mystery.
You know me really well.
You don't know me very well.
You know me. I was like, yeah, like a spy.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, she would so go for the mystery.
There's a lot of spy things that I haven't told you about in my childhood and growing up.
Okay,
Yeah.
when you add it to your growing up, should we be concerned, people? Anyway, you want to ask your last question to me?
I do want to ask the last question.
Bailey, come. Bailey.
Okay. If you had to teach someone one thing about your culture in 30 seconds, what would it be? A, how to perfectly explain why your mum calls you 47 times a day. B, the art of making your meal look 10 times more complicated than it is. Or C, politely decline an invitation 3 times before finally accepting.
Go on. What would you think I guessed?
I was waiting for your answer. What was the question? If you had to teach someone one thing about your culture in 30 seconds, I think it would be why your mum calls you 47 times a day.
God.
There you go. I know you well.
You know my mum. That's what it is. Okay, so the last question for you. You walk into a room and everyone is speaking a different language. What's your first instinct? A, pretend you're fluent and nod like you understand everything. B, start Googling how do I say where's the nearest exit in 5 languages. Or C, join in with some exaggerated hand gestures and hope for the best. I think you would do A, pretend you're fluent and nod.
Gosh, you know me well. I do. Wow. I'm not the
Can you talk?
I'm not the I can't say it. Enigma. I'm not the enigma. I thought I was, is what I was trying to say.
On that note, we'll end the episode and I'll do the wrap up, shall I? So, firstly, just wanted to say thank you for listening to our episode. We hope this one kind of enlightened you a little bit more about our culture, who we are, why we're doing everything we're doing. And if you do have stories, we'd love to hear them. If you've ever been in the same position or you don't feel like you fit in, like come into the unfit club? No.
This is not a
not an exercise club. Anyway, if you did like our episode and you want to watch us, please go onto our YouTube channel, which is 2 Cups of Tea Podcast. Like and subscribe and follow us for more. We were also on all your podcast platforms, which is Spotify, Apple and Amazon. And we also have an email address, which Tracy always forgets when she's doing the closing, which is 2cupsofteapodcast@gmail.com. If you have got questions, we would love to do a questions episode. And we are also on Instagram and TikTok. I feel like I've flooded you with all that information, but go on to everything, 2 Cups of Tea Podcast, and find us. And you have been listening and watching 2 Cups of Tea and a Packet of Biscuits. See you later.
Bye.